now you talking about where you from. And if that's what we're going to do now, because we was doing it like hip-hop was one nation. And I have proof to say what I was doing.
We did it, Brooklyn. We did it. All of we did it. For nothing.
This is very East Coast heavy right here.
Okay.
By the way.
Look who you talking to.
You're kind of leaving a lot of the West Coast legends off this list.
Well, that's because I don't feel they belong.
Tired of folks, you know what I'm saying? Them closed-minded folks, you know what I'm saying? It's like we got a demo tape and don't nobody want to hear, but it's like this the South got something to say.
East Coast don't love Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg. The East Coast ain't got no love for Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg and Death Row. Y'all don't love.
Was Biggie came at a time, just like what Hitler did with the Jews. Biggie came at a time when they were open to somebody saying, we're the master race, and these guys are nothing, and they're pretenders, and this is why we not making it in the business because of these guys. This is why we not doing nothing because of these guys.
So we are back again, and today we'll be building on East Coast bias, right? What is that? East Coast bias, New York bias, right? Now, East Coast bias in hip-hop is something that really came out of the late 80s, right? Early 90s, late 80s, right? As we know, we won't get too deep into the history or make it a who started hip-hop thing. We know that, because we dealt with that already, right? When the music genre became a thing and the labels got behind it, that came out of NYC, right? That's just a fact. The elements that went into hip-hop come from down south. Now, let's start where we at, right? Now, New York is dominating hip-hop for many years. For the years that it's around, it's dominating. LL Cool J, Rakim Allah, Kool Moe Dee, you name them. Fat Boys, all this is coming out of New York, right? KRS-One, EPMD, Heavy D, New York is dominating, right? But then by the 80s, you start to see LA rappers start to kind of make a run, right? NWA is coming out, and NWA is starting to dominate. You got Ice-T, and you got this whole gangster element, gangbanging element that's coming into the music. And labels are taking a big liking to it, and fans are taking a big liking to it too, mostly because it's something new, right? People usually like something new, and it was fascinating to learn about the gang culture of LA was a lot different from New York, right? So the hairstyles were different, right? LA dudes was wearing big jerry curls, you know what I'm saying? And they were talking police brutality. They weren't as focused on the skill of rap. They were focused on the reality of what they were living. Right? Now, that comes from New York, and these are the breaks era, right? Where you was just dealing with the realities of the world. But LA gangster rap took that to a whole nother level. And NWA and DJ Quick and all these LA guys were making a big name for themselves, right? And with that being said, you started seeing more and more fans start gravitating towards the West Coast, and labels were gravitating towards the West Coast also, right? So with everybody gravitating towards the West Coast now, a lot of the New York rappers started kind of feeling like they were being replaced. They started seeing the West Coast as a threat, right? And they started banging on LA rappers, right? With Tim Dog doing the F Compton, and it started the division of pushing back against New York rap, LA rap, right? Yo, man, that ain't real hip hop. Man, them dudes over there, they can't dress. Man, them dudes is corny. Them dudes is gang banging. We don't gang bang. They gang bang. They need a whole. They can't be solo. They weak. You know what I'm saying? They ain't got no knowledge of self. This and this and this and this, and then it was so much. This was the New York guys were going against that, right? So this is your birth of East Coast bias as far as pushing back against anything that's not from that region, from the region of where they believe hip hop started, right? And from fast forward to that time, you got artists like Tupac. Tupac is a unique case because Tupac moves where the Panthers move throughout his life, right? So he's from New York, he's from Baltimore, he's from California, right? Heavy spots where the Panthers were present because he bounced from home to home where his mom had ties to the Panthers, right? So again, that's New York, that's Baltimore, and that's California, right? With that being said, Tupac is moving in unity. He wants to do the One Nation thing, so he's all about, keeping the peace amongst New York rappers and LA rappers, down south rappers, because he had family in Atlanta. He lived in Atlanta and in the Midwest. Tupac was trying to link all that. Let's just do a One Nation. And before he died, he was trying to get the One Nation album, but he always had One Nation, right? And you see that tattoo on his chest, that 50 niggas united, right? 50 states, 50 niggas united. He didn't want it to be, we from this area and we from that area. He didn't like that, right? He was against that. That was one thing that the Panthers fell over. Part of the Panthers fell. The Panthers got infiltrated. The COINTELPRO took down the Panthers, but also infighting, right? Infighting that was pushed by different regions of the Panthers, the East Coast Panthers versus the West Coast Panthers, right? So he didn't want that in the hip hop. He always wanted to bring unity and keep unity, and it be one nation where rappers can go out to New York and be good. New York rappers can go out to LA, be good. LA rappers go to Atlanta and be good. You see what I'm saying? And everybody take care of each other. One nation, one family. And Tupac, he ran with Treach. He ran with a lot of cats from all over, right? Ran with Treach out in Atlanta with Goody Mob, rep with Scarface, you know what I'm saying? Did his thing with E40, Mac Mall, all them. And he had love for each region. That was one thing that made Tupac unique. And Tupac takes a liking to a young Biggie Smalls. And he takes Big on tour with him, right? Take Big, let him open up, do Morehouse with him, do a couple colleges, shows Biggie the game. Don't rap for the niggas. If you rap for the niggas, the women won't buy your records. So make records for the women, right? For the radio and for women, and then allow to put the real art for the men that's really into hip hop on the album, right? Tupac gave gems to Big, how to move in the industry, do this and do that. You know what I'm saying? Don't let this happen. Don't let that happen. He was schooling Big. Brought Big to the West Coast, showed Big love. That was the first time that they had seen Big on the West Coast was with Pop, right? And then all of a sudden, Big gets signed, and then all of a sudden, all that's gone, right? All that's gone. So even though Pop, kind of created Big and brought him in, how in Pac's perspective, he created Big and helped bring Big into the game, you know what I'm saying, teaching them the rules and all this and all that. And one thing he taught him was, be about unity, right? But once Big gets on, Big is so proud to be from Brooklyn, and Big is so New Yorked out, so Brooklyn out. Big got a chip on his shoulder, right? Big got a chip on his shoulder. And one thing about Big is one of my favorite MCs ever. You know what I'm saying? Definitely one of my favorite New York rappers of all time, him and Hov. But the reality was that what Tupac didn't know was that Biggie deep down, even though he was getting helped by a New York nigga that's trying to bring the nation, which is Tupac, New York, LA, Baltimore nigga that's trying to bring the One Nation in, he didn't realize that Big being this purist, Big is a purist, he's a lyricist, and he's from New York, and he read Brooklyn hard, he read New York hard, he can't help it. And one thing that he did was that when he got in the game, he was finally able to say how he really felt, right? He didn't have to be apologetic anymore and play the game. He had no PR too at the time, right? So they catch you. It's like Anthony Edwards right now saying a lot of silly shit is raw. It's sometimes he don't have the PR to really help him say, yo, you probably shouldn't say that. Yo, you probably shouldn't say that, right? So you catch a raw version of him, but the downside of it is that can create problems. The shit you saying could create problems. And what Big was saying one time, he, as Big get in the game now, Big is able to, he don't have to go up under Pac no more, right? And Pac gets shot. And when Pac gets shot, once Pac gets shot, Pac go to jail, and now Big is on top. Big is dominating, and Big is running the whole East Coast just that fast, right? And while on tour, Big stops through to Canada and does an interview, right? He does an interview where he's asked questions about other artists, and Big You know, he feeling good. I don't know if he off the liquor or Big just unapologetically, you know what I'm saying, how he feel, but he start to rate rappers. And they asked him about E40. He said E40 is terrible. He's whack. He's trash. Give him a 0 for a ranking. Outkast dropped Southern Playalistic, Cadillac, you know what I'm saying, all that, you know, the classic album. He says, yo, I like them too. I'm going to give them a 6, maybe a 7, right? Snoop had the biggest album. Doggy Style dropped. He said, I like Snoop. I give him like an 8. You know what I'm saying? I like his shit. I'm in the fly pimp straight shit, you know. I don't like no nigga that I have to decipher. That's a jab. Right? That's a jab. Like, he only type of niggas he like to really like decipher is like, he said Nas and J. Rule. New York niggas. See what I'm saying? So you see his bias coming. Then he was asked about Me Against the World, and he said, Pac get busy. People can't take nothing from him on the lyrics. He get busy. Straight up. The nigga got some hard shit, dog. For real. And it's like he said, it's like the sad thing about it is on the new album he got now, he talking about Me Against the World, right? Out on Bail, it was later titled Me Against the World, right? Had East Coast raw producers on it, right? That's what he's saying. I helped him get Mo B, and he helped him put him on to a bunch of East Coast producers, especially and all that. He said, but then when he went back to the West Coast, Tupac went back out on that West Coast shit, right? So he's showing his bias against West Coast producers, and Big can't help it. Big is just a product of being a purist and being a New York nigga who's caught up in this illness of you know, we the East Coast, we do it the best way, we do it the right way. If it ain't like us, it ain't right in his act, right? Them niggas country, them niggas corny, them niggas can't dress, them niggas ain't got no knowledge of self, they behind, they dumb, slow niggas. This is how niggas seen, this is how up north niggas seen it at the time. I was raised partially by a Philly nigga who was like this. He suffered from the mental illness too of the rap hip hop head East Coast bias. It still exists amongst people today. When you listen to Ari Spears on DJ Vlad, you hear nothing but the East Coast bias, right? It's a mental illness, it's a sickness when it comes to the hip hop fan, right? He can't see outside of his own self, right? If it don't look and sound like him and it's wrong, it's not right, right? So although people, you know, they know about the South got something to say, many people don't know that Andre 3000 had heard that article where Big jabbed at them, ending the Source Awards was giving the slighting them too on the album, and this is what he was referring to, right? Biggie is front row. The award show was in New York City. He sit there right in front staring at Big and say, you know, the South got something to say. The South got something to say. Y'all closed-minded folks. He's talking to New York. The crowd is rooting for nothing but New. If you wasn't from New York, you didn't even get cheered at the time. The crowd was that New York bias, right? And like I said, in '93, E40. I'm a big E40 fan. E40 was dropping a lot of heat. And one thing that he didn't do was, even though he was dropping a lot of heat, you know, it was mostly E40 have a real regional sound, right? And if you don't like it, you don't like it. I was raised on E40, but a lot of cats didn't like E40. Rasheed Wallace suffered from it back in the day. He dissed E40 too, right? Now, and he's a Philly guy, like I told you, right? I believe he's a Philly guy. So, again, the East Coast thing, this is when E40 then booked the show, you know, to get Big out to the Bay. And when he got out to the Bay, allegedly them boys then, you know, ran down on him and made him get on the phone with E40 and piece it up. You know what I'm saying? E40 got strong ties in the Bay. So Snoop would also be in attendance at this Source Awards show, right? And he say, y'all ain't got no love for Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg. Y'all don't love the East Coast. Y'all don't love us. Let it be known, nigga. We know where the fuck we at. He was letting it be known, right? He know Biggie on the front row. See, y'all put a lot of this shit on Pac. Pac was in jail for a lot of this shit. Big was pushing a lot of shit while Pac was in jail. Pac couldn't speak. Nigga was in jail. He did the magazine, but he ain't really diss nobody during that magazine. The real issue was why he was locked up, niggas was dissing him. All the New York niggas started dissing Pac. If y'all can remember. You know, Mobb Deep started dissing Pac. Niggas was dissing Pac. So that was the reality of the situation. And You know, so this is more directed at Biggie's comments, this and every other rapper not from New York. This is what this is more in context to, right? So, you know, a month later after the Source Awards, Snoop is out there with the Dog Pound shooting New York, big city of dreams, and everything in New York ain't always what it seems. You might get when you come from out of town, but the Dog Pound, y'all know this shit, man. Come on. Now, this is the video where Snoop and Corrupt and Daz is kicking over the buildings in New York. Yeah, it's disrespectful, but this is in response again to the situation where Big said this jab the West Coast, right? Now, with that being said, while he's kicking them buildings over, the word gets to Big. Yeah, yo, these boys and them boys down there disrespecting New York, kicking over the buildings. You know, Big get on the phone, make the phone call, allegedly, and some shots get fired at the Dog Pound while they in their tour bus. Right? While they in their tour bus, shots get fired at the Dog Pound and bullets go through the tour bus. That's reality. Right? And that's why Pac was so mad at them when he squashed the beef. When Snoop squashed the beef, he looking like, nigga, what? Cause Pac was in jail when a lot of that shit happened. Like Pac ain't at the award show, right? Now, Tupac just survived the shooting. Let's go into the mind of Pac. Tupac just survived the shooting. It was in prison with the #1 album in 1994. That's Me Against the World, right? And that's the song. This is the album that Big said it was good, except the West Coast production. He didn't like the West Coast production on it. Now Biggie is entitled to his opinion, but again, this is the bias. This is the East Coast bias mentality, and Tupac is a huge anti. Because remember, Pac is trying to push the One Nation. Pac is trying to push the One Nation, and as I told you before, on my last video, one of my videos dealing with the Biggie Tupac mafioso, this is why you started seeing Tupac do the West Side thing, West Side, LA, West Side, because Big was, you never seen Pac doing that before, but when Big come out, it's Brooklyn, New York, we in the house, Brooklyn, we did it, Brooklyn. And you know, Pac is fed up with that because Pac is trying to push unity. Pac is trying to push the One Nation, right? And this was their issue because, like I said, you gotta remember Pac ran with niggas from every region. And that was his whole thing, the One Nation thing. So Tupac spoke on this issue. You know, he spoke on this issue how Big had became a problem, and he even down to his interview with Sway. I want you to watch it very, very close and listen to it very close. Pac said that his issue with Big was that Big was destroying the peace treaty of One Nation by bringing in the East Coast New York bias mentality, you know. And what was so deep was, whether you believe it or not, what he said. He said, think World War II, and what Hitler did with World War II was Hitler. What he resonated with a people that were upset, right? The Germans were upset at the Jews, right? They felt like they had lost a lot of things because of the Jews, and they felt like they were being victims of the Jews. And so what Hitler did was cater to that base, right? And when you're dealing with an upset people, they're looking for a leader, and when you give them a leader, you know, to say things that they want to hear, right? It rises through the ranks of a leader. That's how you get the leader. For example, you know, not to compare Trump to Hitler, however, from the standpoint of people were upset in America when Obama got in, then he won twice. I seen it. He won twice, and then this upset a bunch of people, a bunch of white Americans that felt like, man, you know, we're losing our country. We got the black dude coming in, we got gay marriage coming in, we got this happening, all these changes. It ain't for us no more. This is what Tupac is saying that Biggie is representing for the hip hop fan who feel like they lose in New York. Because New York was kind of in the dark ages. It was Biggie that brought New York out of the dark ages. Wu-Tang and all that was all that dark shit, right? And it was real. Nobody was selling records like the West Coast at that time. Death Row had shit on lock. And then the South was starting to come. And New York was New York was kind of feeling like they was losing it. But one thing that New York did was with Big and Puff, they started getting into club music, R&B. This brought New York out of the dark credit shit, and it brought New York into some player shit, some R&B player, like, you know what I'm saying, some shit like that for the girls to listen to. Total, you know, you can love or hate Big and Puff for commercializing the game, like J. Rue said on One Day, you know. However, this is what brought the game into its place. And, you know, the issue was Tupac felt like he gave Big the game to do that while Big was riding with him. So he felt like since he created Big, he felt like he was the only one that could destroy Big. So when he got out of prison, he was on a mission to try to destroy Big, right, his career, and try to renegotiate the treaty, the peace treaty, to bring back One Nation. Because the same way that people now, the MAGA just blew up Big, and they see Trump as this figure that represents them for hate, right? We hate the people that's not like us, xenophobia. We hate the people that don't look like us, that don't talk like us, that don't walk like us. Tupac sees Biggie as that type of figure for East Coast rap fans who are mad that they are losing their art form because it's changing. It's going through changes and phases, right? And Tupac sees Biggie as a representation of a cult-like leader for those people. So every time he says, where Brooklyn at, where New York at, it's like make America great again. It's like make Germany great again. This is what Tupac said in his interview with Sway. I didn't say that. He said that. Look it up. Listen to it. This is deep because a lot of people miss this part of the history, right? But this is a dark part of the hip hop audience. You know, is if you don't sound and walk and talk and move like New York. It's some New York guys that's so deep into this shit. Like, you listen to Eric Spears, like I said, you discredit Ice Cube. You discredit anybody that's not from New York and don't rap like you, don't dress like you, don't talk like you. This is xenophobia in the hip hop format. And it's something that Tupac seen coming. And he seen Biggie as a danger to the unity in hip hop and One Nation. Right? In One Nation, with Tupac trying to bring New York and LA and everybody together to crush what he felt like Big was doing, is trying to bring New York versus everybody. So it's 2025, and sometimes I'm a lyricist myself, right? And sometimes I still feel slighted at times because, you know, of that situation where I'm just happen to not be from New York. A lot of rappers from the South that are lyricists, West Coast that are lyricists, wherever, if they not from New York, they not gonna get loved like an artist that's from New York. T.I. said that. And a big part of that is because we have gatekeepers from that era still on the radio, still dominating, still all the media personalities that talk hip hop mostly are from New York and they're from that old era. They're not gonna give credit. A lot of these guys, you know, they try to fake like, oh yeah. See, they like most of them like Scarface because he did songs with Jay-Z. You see what I'm saying? Most of them like Outkast for the same reason, did songs with Raekwon. But it's hard to really, for them to really give you your credit as an MC because you're different. So in hip hop, that's a mental illness. Albert Einstein came to America and seen that white Americans at that time, and even still to this day, but specifically at that time when he came, he seen that, white Americans cannot get past the xenophobia issue in their hatred of other races, right? The differences. He seen it as a mental illness. I didn't say it, he said it. Well, hip hop has the same issue, a mental illness amongst some fans, that if you're not from them, if you don't dress like them, if you don't look like them, you know, they could never accept you or your music. And this is what Tupac seen Big as a danger to this One Nation movement, right? And unfortunately, we know that Tupac would end up dying in '96, and then Big would die in '97, right? But sadly, this mentality is still present in today's times. You know, it's tragic. But on that note, family, I hope that you took something with you from this build today, right? If you really enjoyed this build, tap in, hit the subscribe button, follow me on X, Music and Builds, and let's keep building. Share the video.